Hi everybody, I've been asked by at least 2 people here on YouTube how I dry my lavender. So I thought I'd do a little video on it today. Now, this is a bunch of my lavender as it is at the moment. Hold it up so you can have a good look at it. It's not fully it's not in full bloom yet is what I'm trying to say. And the type of lavender I grow is English lavender. Now there's 2 main types, there's English lavender and there's French lavender. And this might sound terribly racist, but the French lavender is no good for drying or if you want to make potpourri. Go for the English lavender, and I'll show you what I mean by French lavender. It looks beautiful, it's a lovely little plant to grow in your garden, but scent-wise and smell-wise, this is the fella to go for, the heavy-duty stuff. Sorry about this, but this, can you see the photograph there? That's French lavender, and it just has these kind of long wavy petals. Now it's a lovely plant to grow because bees love it, and I'd recommend that you grow it for that alone, but it's not really for drying or making potpourri or lavender bags or anything like that. So we'll go back to our English lavender, which has been around for centuries. It was known around the time of the Romans, and they used to make medicines with it. It's supposed to be antibacterial and antiseptic. It's supposed to be good at making you sleep or helping you to sleep if you make a lavender bag and put it under your pillow. But you can try all those things yourself. I'm not a herbalist or anything like that. I just dry the stuff and put it into bags. That's all I do with it. Now, this is this year's crop, and I don't pick my lavender until September, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And if you want to grow this yourself, you grow it out of doors, and so long as you don't have it in a wet, damp spot, it'll do well. It likes kind of good drainage, and it likes a bit of sun. In spite of being a plant from the Mediterranean, it grows perfectly well in more northern places. And if it's growing well in your neighbour's garden, it'll grow well in yours. If you don't have a garden, if you only have an apartment or you don't have space for it, just grow it in a pot. As long as it's out of doors, grow it on the front doorstep if you have to. It's quite happy in pots from what I found. Now, I don't dry mine until September because the bees love it. Now, the books about drying stuff will tell you to pick it in July and August once it's in full bloom. But I leave it for as long as possible until the bees are nearly finished with it, because hundreds upon thousands of them come to my lavender bushes, and I just leave them be, literally, sorry for the pun, but I leave them be dealing with it. And although the little lavender flowers do start to dry and drop off, I'm happy to lose it because I know the bees are happy and it's keeping them making honey and it's keeping them alive over the winter. So you can decide yourself how eco-friendly you want to be with the bees. So the next thing you do is you wait until it's fully in flower. And you'll know this because the little purple things will be a bit bigger and they'll also be starting to drop onto the ground. And what you do is you get your paper bag, you open it up, and basically you stick the flowers into it upside down. Now you have, hopefully, if you have good lavender plants, you'll have much more stalks than that. You put the lavender plants into the bag and hang it, or the lavender heads into the bag, and you hang it up somewhere warm and dry and leave it for a few weeks. And you'll know when it's done because the little lavender blooms will start to fall off and the stems they'll shrink. Everything about the plant will shrink and it'll look dry. Also, if you shake the bag, you'll find that the little lavender buds will fall off the stalk, and that's really what you're looking for. And as they get drier and drier, you can get a bit rougher and really bash the bag against the side of the table or something, and they will drop off. And then you can take out the stalks and deal with the lavender flowers. Now, the most important thing here is to put it to dry somewhere dry and warm, because the most important thing is not to let it get damp, because if it gets damp, everything goes mouldy and it's horrible. Now this is what it'll look like when it's dry. This is a few stalks of lavender I've left over from last year, and you can see here, it doesn't look great, but really it's very easy. It's completely dry and it's very easy to just rub it and get the little stems out. And also if you just beat it like that, they fall off. You can see them gathering here in the bottom of the container. Or you could put on a pair of rubber gloves and kind of rub the stems like this, because it does cause a bit of dust and you might start to sneeze, or if you had asthma it probably wouldn't be a great thing to do. But if you put gloves on and you don't have asthma and just rub it like this, almost as if you're rubbing butter or margarine into flour. As you can see, you can literally see the little stalks becoming bare. Now they've lost their buds just because I rubbed it. I don't know why this makes me sleep tonight. Now the house now is starting to smell very strongly of lavender, and I wish I had smell-o-vision, but I don't. Or I wish there was such a thing as it. But you can see now, nearly all the little lavender buds is gone. So what I do is I put the stalks on the compost heap, pick the remaining stalks out, and then that's my lavender there. Sorry. That's my lavender. Dried lavender. As I said, that's last year's dried lavender, but it's perfect. It's perfectly dry, and I store it in big plastic boxes because I have loads of it. And that's all you need to do. You can also dry rose petals. Sorry, my voice is nearly gone now because of the dust from the lavender. Excuse me. You can also dry rose petals, you know, on a dry, warm day, like we're going to have here in Ireland for the next few days. If you have pink or red roses and they're just starting to lose their petals, you can pick off the heads, spread the petals out on a piece of newspaper or kitchen paper, and just leave them there again, a warm dry place or a windowsill, and they'll dry and they can be stored again. And that way, if you have lavender and you have rose petals, you can start making your own potpourri or your own scented lavender and rose bags as Christmas presents.